A bombshell-leaked video is making waves online, showing the Secret Service director meeting with Trump's shooter. Yep, you read that right. The clip is fueling major suspicion that she might have let the attack happen. The Secret Service's failure to protect Trump is now under a dark cloud of controversy. What's the real story here? This scandal is about to explode. Kimberly Cheatle linked with the shooter.
And these pictures of the items found on the roof, including a black cell phone and a gray wireless transmitter authorities say he intended to use to remotely detonate explosives in his car.
For starters, the FBI found a second phone belonging to Crooks, raising questions about his communications and connections. The Heritage Foundation's oversight project discovered that someone frequently visiting Crooks' home in Pennsylvania also made regular trips to a building near an FBI office in Washington. If that wasn't suspicious enough, investigators have identified 9 devices connected to Crooks' house and workplace. Looks like Crooks might have had some help trying to take out Trump. When people asked Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle about potential accomplices, she pointed them to the FBI. They found a Samsung Galaxy S10 at Crooks' place with some sketchy stuff on it. The last search history was full of terms like Trump rally security, how to use an AR-15, and escape routes in Butler, PA. As investigations continue, the possibility that this was an inside job remains a topic of intense speculation. If true, it would imply a profound betrayal by those closest to Trump, raising questions about loyalty, trust, and the lengths to which people will go to achieve their goals. The story is far from over, and as more details come to light, the full extent of the conspiracy may be revealed. This theory, if proven, would not only reshape our understanding of the attack, but also reveal a darker side of political maneuvering and betrayal. Moreover, the FBI is also reportedly seeking access to 3 encrypted accounts based overseas, allegedly belonging to Crooks. Rep. Sir Michael Waltz mentioned that he has been in discussions with agents as the FBI continues to probe the attack. He learned that the Bureau believes Thomas Crooks may have been linked to foreign accounts amid sensational rumors of an Iranian plot. The shooter had 3 encrypted accounts overseas. At the same time, we're having an Iranian plot, Waltz said. I think this is going to go much broader, much deeper. We're going to get to the bottom of this beginning Monday. Waltz added that agents are now looking to hold US Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle to account over the assassination attempt, claiming they are pissed and frustrated over the lack of resources they have been provided. House Speaker Mike Johnson said he was ready to call on Joe Biden to fire Ms. Cheatle, as her office stated she would not step down amid growing pressure to resign following the shooting. And then every acquaintance of his is suggesting that he was a nice person, and the FBI is also covering this, but there is this new leaked information that he tried to attack a school despite being a good person. I mean, how is it even possible? And the FBI is not even covering this incident.
Who was the agent in charge? How long has she been the agent in charge? And what is her Secret Service background?
So I'm not going to provide a name.
Why not? You're here to answer our questions.
Forum. I'm not going to provide names.
The director of the US Secret Service took responsibility for the significant security lapses ahead of the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. However, she declined to answer questions directly, leading to frustration among lawmakers from both parties who demanded her resignation. Kimberly Cheatle, who resisted calls to step down, told the House Oversight and Accountability Committee that the shooting represented the most serious operational failure by the Secret Service in over 4 decades. The Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders. On July 13th, we failed, Cheatle said, speaking in Washington, D.C. under subpoena. As the director of the United States Secret Service, I take full responsibility for any security lapse. At the rally in Butler, PA, the shooting resulted in an injury to Trump's right ear, the death of a local firefighter, and injuries to 2 other attendees. Kimberly Cheatle faced over 4 hours of intense questioning on Monday, with lawmakers focusing on 2 main issues: how such a serious threat to a former president and current candidate occurred under her watch, and whether she should keep her job.
You stated in your testimony, you said, I am here today to answer your questions.
That is correct.
Answer the question.
I'm not going to provide names of our personnel.
Why not?
Today.
The American people are demanding these answers from you today, Ms. Cheatle.
Throughout her testimony, Cheatle repeatedly avoided providing specific details about the security lapses or directly answering questions about the agency's tactics. Instead, she deferred to the ongoing FBI investigation and the Secret Service's internal review. Committee members grew increasingly frustrated with her refusal to give clear answers, with some shaking their heads, laughing out loud, and speaking over her. Their frustration was evident in comments like, "Why are you here?" and "Are you serious?" serious. Representative Mike Turner, emphasizing the gravity of the situation, said, "Because Donald Trump is alive, you look incompetent." He added, "If Donald Trump had been killed, you would have looked culpable," and called on President Joe Biden to fire Cheatle if she did not step down. In a particularly heated exchange during the hearing, Republican Representative Nancy Mace asked Kimberly Cheatle if she wanted to use her 5 minutes of questioning to draft her resignation. Cheatle declined, which led to Mace's frustration boiling over. "You're full of shit today," Mace said, prompting a brief reminder about decorum in the House. "You are being dishonest or lying. These are important questions that the American people want answers to, and you're just dodging." Cheatle did not respond. Recently, whistleblowers have leaked information revealing significant failures by law enforcement before Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, had a clear shot at Trump from a warehouse roof about 150 meters from the candidate's podium in Butler, PA. Cheatle admitted that the warehouse was not included in the agency's established perimeter at the rally, even though it was within AR-15 range and had been flagged as a vulnerability days earlier. She did not explain why the building was outside the secure zone or why no agent was stationed on the roof where Crooks was.
To my knowledge, he did not fly the drone over the entire area.
How did he fly a drone over the area, period? Any part of the area?
Again, I would have to go back and check the timeline of when that took place and when the event...
Why didn't you bring the timeline with you today to answer our questions?
I don't have all of the answers on the timelines based on the criminal investigation.
When asked about a Washington Post report indicating that the gunman had flown a drone over the fairgrounds on the day of the shooting, Cheatle said she couldn't confirm whether the Secret Service had conducted a similar flight. She also stated that she doesn't usually sign off on security plans personally and did not do so for the rally. Republican Representative James Comer, chair of the Oversight Committee, stated, "This tragedy was preventable and firmly believes that Cheatle needs to step down. The Secret Service has a zero-fail mission, but it failed on July 13th, and in the days leading up to the rally," Comer said during his opening statement on Monday. "The Secret Service has thousands of employees and a significant budget, but it has now become the face of incompetence. Under Director Cheatle, we question whether anyone is safe, whether it's President Biden, the First Lady, the White House, or presidential candidates," Comer added. Cheatle resisted calls to resign, asserting that she would remain in her position to oversee the internal investigation. "I think that I'm the best person to lead the Secret Service at this time," she said. She also acknowledged that the agency had denied some security requests from Trump's campaign at his events in the years prior to the assassination attempt, but claimed that no such request was denied for the Butler rally. Prior to the shooting, local law enforcement had observed Crooks pacing around the edges of the rally and using a rangefinder to peer at the rooftops behind the stage where Trump later stood. Officials said an image of Crooks was circulated among officers stationed outside the security perimeter. Witnesses later saw him climbing up the side of a squat manufacturing building that was within 135 meters from the stage. He then set up his AR-style rifle and lay on the rooftop, a detonator in his pocket, to set off crude explosive devices that were stashed in his car parked nearby. A local firefighter was killed in the shooting, and 2 more men were injured. Crooks was shot dead by the Secret Service, so Kimberly declined to provide specifics on security lapses, which can suggest that there was more than meets the eyes. And then Reps. Sheila Jackson's death, especially so soon after her involvement with the Secret Service oversight, definitely raises some eyebrows. The timing is uncanny, just 6 days after the attack on Trump. It feels like something out of a political thriller, doesn't it? Now, this is where the investigators seem to be failing. Federal authorities are still investigating what may have prompted the gunman to carry out the shooting, but so far, they say it appears he acted alone. The FBI is investigating whether the shooter was motivated by a violent extremist ideology or had any association with additional plotters or co-conspirators, according to an FBI and Department of Homeland Security bulletin sent to law enforcement Monday and obtained by CBS News. "We do not currently have an identified motive," said Kevin Rojek, FBI Pittsburgh special agent in charge, at a briefing late Saturday, and President Biden said the shooter's motives were still unclear in an address from the Oval Office the following night. "There is no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence, ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to become normalized," Mr. Biden said. "The political rhetoric in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that."
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question, yes or no?
I have admitted this is...
There was one thing that was positive about this attack, and that was Trump was not harmed heavily. Trump said in a social media post that a bullet pierced the upper part of his right ear. He was checked at a local hospital before leaving the area under Secret Service protection and flying to New Jersey late Saturday night. His son, Eric Trump, told CBS News on Wednesday that his father didn't have stitches but had a nice flesh wound. However, still, this attack raises many questions on the management and his security team as well. The shooting is a very poor example. The wounding of a former US president by an untrained amateur does not reflect well on the Secret Service. According to the information currently available, a combination of routine high security levels, slow response to information, and possible negligence occurred. The US Secret Service reports that both the former and current presidents are constantly threatened. These threats are taken seriously, and the highly dynamic threat environment is continuously assessed and responded to. Constant high alert can dull vigilance, and from a bodyguard's perspective, this was a pointless event in some remote area. The situation is somewhat similar to the case of Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico, who was also targeted in a seemingly peaceful, sleepy town. The bodyguards have already stated that the local police failed because they did not carefully check the outer perimeter. However, it is clear that securing such events is only possible through cooperation. And now another theory is lurking around that Cheetle might be handled by Joe Biden because she has worked with him, and mainly, she was hired as director by Biden. Prior to her time at PepsiCo, she had served with the Secret Service for more than 25 years, including on Biden's security detail while he was vice president. In a statement announcing her appointment, Biden said he had complete trust in Cheetle, to whom in 2021 he bestowed a Presidential Rank Award, which honors exceptional performance as a high-ranking federal civil servant. When Kim served on my security detail when I was vice president, we came to trust her judgment and counsel, Biden said. She is a distinguished law enforcement professional with exceptional leadership skills and was easily the best choice to lead the agency at a critical moment for the Secret Service. Cheetle is one of only 2 women to ever serve as director of the Secret Service. Previously, she had been the first woman to serve as the agency's assistant director of protective operations. In a 2022 interview with the trade publication Security magazine, Cheetle reflected on being a woman in the Secret Service. That achievement in a male-dominated industry was not lost on me, Cheetle said. I kept a photo on my desk of the first 5 women sworn into the service, and I used that to remind me that these women created opportunities for me and I can help others grow and lead as well. So on the basis of this fact, people are speculating that he might be behind the attack. But first, let's talk about negligence of Secret Service.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question. Yes or no?
I have admitted this is...
There was a silver lining to the attack. Former President Donald Trump was not severely injured. Trump reported on social media that a bullet grazed the upper part of his right ear. After being examined at a local hospital, he left the area under Secret Service protection and flew to New Jersey late Saturday night. His son, Eric Trump, told CBS News on Wednesday that while his father did not require stitches, he sustained a nice flesh wound. To bolster security, Trump's Secret Service detail was augmented with additional resources due to his extensive campaigning. This included extra manpower, counter-sniper teams, drones, and robotic dogs. On the day of the attack, 4 counter-sniper teams were deployed, and at least a dozen additional police officers and sheriff's deputies assisted the Secret Service and Pennsylvania State Police with rally security, as reported by the Associated Press. In addition, Trump's teleprompter is equipped with protective features, and the flag and podium banners are constructed from steel, according to a law enforcement official. On Sunday morning, U.S. Secret Service spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi stated that the agency recently enhanced the former president's security detail with additional protective resources and capabilities. He denied any claims that the agency had declined a request for increased security, calling such suggestions absolutely false. The U.S. Secret Service takes threats seriously and acts accordingly based on those threats, Guglielmi said. We are continually assessing the evolving threat environment and responding as needed. Despite these measures, the attack raises significant concerns about security management. The wounding of a former U.S. president by an untrained individual reflects poorly on the Secret Service. Current information suggests that a combination of routine security procedures, delayed responses to information, and potential negligence may have contributed to the incident. The U.S. Secret Service reports that both former and current presidents face ongoing threats, which are taken very seriously. The agency continuously assesses and responds to the highly dynamic threat environment. However, constant high alert can sometimes lead to lapses in vigilance, and from a bodyguard's perspective, the attack attack in a seemingly remote area might have seemed less concerning. This situation parallels the attack on Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico in a quiet, peaceful town. The bodyguards have criticized the local police for failing to thoroughly check the outer perimeter. Effective security at such events requires close cooperation between agencies. According to released information, both police and bodyguards were informed of a person with a rifle on a roof. However, this information was either delayed in its verification or initially dismissed as not credible, which proved to be a costly mistake. Following the assassination attempt, rumors circulated suggesting that the shooting was possible due to a lack of additional resources for Trump's protection. It was reported that a member of Trump's security team had requested extra security, but this claim was denied by the Secret Service and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. On June 14th, the U.S. Secret Service confirmed that they had recently enhanced the former president's security detail with additional protective resources and capabilities. The skills and background of the assailant, Thomas Matthew Crooks, seemed inadequate for such an attack. A solitary student who faced bullying and was rejected from a school shooting club due to poor skills, Crooks nonetheless managed to target one of the most protected individuals in the world. Given the incident and Crooks' background, there were concerns that he could have become a school shooter. This situation highlights the broader responsibilities of the Secret Service in national risk mitigation, including monitoring and addressing potential threats from individuals with concerning profiles. After the shooting began, the Secret Service sniper team shot the attacker. However, the former president was injured, one person was killed, and two others at the event were seriously wounded. The shooter chose a side position, which was very clever, as people usually move side to side while speaking, not back and forth. This restriction is set by the podium. Videos show Trump turning his head just before the shot, which is probably what saved him. As a result, the bullet grazed his ear, and bodyguards were able to take the former president away. Reportedly, Trump refused to be carried off, as it would have left a poor impression. During the evacuation, it was noticeable that the exit from the stage was relatively uncomfortable and narrow. The lack of a quick and smooth evacuation route indicates that the event was probably not considered a high-priority one. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle is facing the biggest crisis of her tenure. She is a long-time Secret Service employee who briefly worked in the private sector before returning to the agency as director at President Biden's invitation. Chance plays a significant role, and catching a lone actor is naturally very difficult. However, considering the shooter's background, he should not have had any opportunity. The incident means the Secret Service Director's position is unstable, and the same goes for Assistant Director Michael Platte, who is responsible for bodyguard operations. Unfortunately, one must be accountable for one's subordinates, and in such exceptional events, there are many who demand blood. Moreover, in the viral video related to this incident, it is seen that as soon as the firing started, the Secret Service agents covered Trump from all sides. During this time, some female agents wearing black suits and dark glasses were also seen guarding Donald Trump.
Was this tragedy preventable, yes or no?
Yes.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Yes.
These women took Trump down from the stage and safely took him to the car. During this time, these female agents stood in front of Trump like a shield without caring for their lives. But now, these female agents are on target. According to private reports, some people have alleged that the female agents involved in the Secret Service are the real culprits of the attack on Trump. Biden connected to Trump's shooter.
We are learning also more about the shooter's search history, along with images of former President Trump and current President Joe Biden. The shooter searched for the dates of the upcoming DNC coming up in August in Chicago.
And some pictures found in his computer suggest that he might be controlled by some upper hand or Trump's opponent. Had photos on his phone of the former Republican president, President Joe Biden, and other officials, including Attorney General Merrick Garland and FBI Director Chris Wray, according to two people familiar with the matter. Investigators searching Thomas Matthew Crooks' devices have also found that the shooter looked up the dates for the Democratic National Convention as well as Trump's appearance, according to the people who spoke to the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity to discuss details of the ongoing probe. At least once, his browsing history showed signs of him being worried about his own mental state. During private briefings, FBI officials and the head of the Secret Service gave lawmakers the most detailed look yet at the would-be assassin, Thomas Matthew Crooks. Crooks, who has no criminal history or clear political beliefs, came close to killing Trump, but no clear motive has emerged. This official take lines up with what people who knew him remember member. Several old classmates said they never heard him talk about any particular political ideology. Vincent Taormina, a former classmate who went to middle and high school with Crooks, mentioned that Crooks had a general dislike for politicians from both parties. Vincent recalled a time in 7th grade during a classroom political debate when he voiced his support for Trump, and Crooks seemed incredulous. He says, "Aren't you Hispanic and you like Trump?" Mr. Taormina said. He said, "That's a little stupid." Mr. Taormina brushed off the encounter and didn't have many other interactions with Mr. Crooks. However, he disagreed with other classmates' claims that Crooks had been bullied or was a loner, saying he was smart and had his own small group of friends. "I didn't know him personally or as a friend, but he wasn't bullied and he wasn't a recluse," Mr. Taormina said. Since the shooting on Saturday, the FBI has been going through Mr. Crooks's possessions, including 2 phones and at least 1 laptop, looking for clues about his motive. So far, they haven't found any sign that Crooks, who was a registered Republican, had strong political views in either direction, FBI officials told lawmakers. The FBI hasn't found any evidence of co-conspirators or connections to foreign actors, according to 2 top bureau officials. During tense calls, House and Senate members demanded answers about the nearly catastrophic failure to safeguard Trump. The investigation is proving tricky. Officials mentioned that they were looking into an account with Mr. Crooks's name on the gaming platform Steam, which had posted about making a premiere on July 13th, the day of the shooting. However, that now seems to have been fake, law enforcement officials said.
Thomas Crooks flew a drone, a commercially available drone, over the site, which perhaps could have helped him plan his attack.
A more significant development concerned the shooter's state of mind. Officials told lawmakers there were signs that the gunman, who led a quiet life and worked at a nursing home near his house, might have been struggling with depression. They pointed out some searches on one of his cell phones, revealing that he had looked up major depressive disorder, according to people on the calls, and another briefed on the contents. Over the last few months, the gunman received multiple packages, some marked hazardous material, according to a federal law enforcement memo obtained by the New York Times. After discovering 3 explosive devices connected to him, 1 in his home and 2 in his car parked near the rally, federal officials reviewed his shipping history. Investigators found that 2 improvised explosive devices in his car used a radio-controlled initiation system intended for commercial fireworks demonstrations. Seems like federal law enforcement officials are puzzled and frustrated by the lack of evidence on the gunman's 2 phones. 1 phone was found by his body on the roof of a warehouse outside the rally's security perimeter, and the other was discovered during a search of his house. FBI officials on the call mentioned that the gunman's search history showed a broad interest in powerful and famous people without any clear ideological or partisan pattern. Besides Trump and Biden, the gunman also searched for FBI Director Christopher A. Wray, Attorney General Merrick B. Garland, and a member of the British royal family, according to 2 officials who spoke anonymously. Wray, who was also on the calls, cautioned that the investigation was still in its early stages. The lack of any political or ideological information at the house Mr. Crooks shared with his parents was notable. A top bureau official told lawmakers, as most people who carry out acts of political violence tend to leave a trail of political views. But all this evidence, like him receiving hazardous materials and pictures of Biden in his computer, means someone is behind this attack. In a bold statement to his donors on Monday, President Joe Biden declared that he is done talking about the debate, urging the Democratic Party to refocus on the real challenge ahead, Donald Trump. With the political landscape increasingly fraught with distractions, Biden emphasized the need for unity and clarity within the party. He urged his supporters to set aside internal squabbles and concentrate on confronting the former president's influence and policies. Biden's call to action reflects a strategic pivot, aiming to galvanize the party as they navigate the complexities of the upcoming election cycle. "We need to move forward. Look, we have roughly 40 days till the convention, 120 days till the election. We can't waste any more time being distracted," Biden said in a private call with donors on Monday, according to a recording obtained by Politico. "I have one job, and that's to beat Donald Trump. I'm absolutely certain I'm the best person to be able to do that. So we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye," Biden said. President Joe Biden recently delivered a forceful message to hundreds of top Democratic donors and bundlers in the National Finance Committee, underscoring his determination to solidify party unity amid growing internal dissent. This message, part of a broader strategy to address emerging fractures within the Democratic Party, highlights the urgency with which Biden and his allies are responding, compounding the political intrigue colleague. Recent developments suggest potential Democratic involvement in the recent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. The FBI's ongoing investigation has uncovered links between the shooter and Democratic affiliations, adding complexity and controversy to an already tense political landscape. These revelations have intensified scrutiny on the Democratic Party, sparking debates about ideological extremism and the potential for political violence within mainstream politics. Biden's proactive communication to his supporters and congressional colleagues underscores his commitment to maintaining control and cohesion within the party. Meanwhile, the unfolding investigation into the assassination attempt on Trump raises critical questions about the intersection of political rivalry and security. As these events evolve, the Democratic Party faces significant challenges in navigating internal divisions and addressing the broader implications of these startling developments.
Bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate.
Several donors who participated in the call described President Biden as forceful and strong. During the meeting, he took 4 questions, one of which focused on his plans for the next debate. In response, Biden outlined his strategy with a succinct and assertive declaration: attack, 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 according to one of the participants on the call. This aggressive stance highlights Biden's determination to confront his opponents head-on and underscores his commitment to a vigorous campaign as he seeks to galvanize support and maintain his leadership position within the Democratic Party. Biden repeated multiple times that he would not be leaving the race. "I'm telling you, I'm not going anywhere, folks. I'm in this to the end, and I'm going to beat Trump. I promise you." He touted the grassroots support he observed during his 10-day cross-country tour following the debate, which took him from Georgia to Wisconsin to Pennsylvania. Throughout the tour, he witnessed enthusiastic backing from local communities, reinforcing his campaign's momentum. Biden also expressed his gratitude to his donors for their unwavering support, acknowledging their crucial role in sustaining his efforts and propelling his campaign forward. "I appreciate you hanging in there with me. I realize you're getting a lot of heat," he said. Instead of airing public concerns about his campaign, Biden argued that the party should focus its ire on Trump. He criticized the former president for having gotten away with doing nothing for the last 10 days except driving around in his golf cart, bragging about scores he doesn't score. Biden emphasized that Democrats needed to concentrate on the real issues at stake, such as what Trump would do to abortion rights, Medicare, Social Security, and prescription drug prices if re-elected. Despite Biden's call to unity and his strategic focus on Trump, lingering concern and frustration persist within the high-dollar donor community about Biden's ability to beat Trump in the upcoming November election. These doubts underscore the challenges Biden faces in reassuring his base and securing the confidence of his most influential supporters. So all these reports and rumors suggest that the attack was really interconnected, and no one can finally guess who was actually behind it. Maybe some upper hands are using people to eliminate Trump, and Kimberly was also their target. Who knows?